All right, a little bit about background of the product. And so the product that that we're going to talk about today is our QA pilot with our PIPS Pro and Autopilot integration platform. And so just touch a little bit about those here in just a few minutes when we get into the live demo portion, and I'll kind of talk about those differentiation points. But this product has been out there for a while. This product was developed as a part of Tapa Wiki with the AAPM board. Obviously, he's got a long-standing history in the crafting the teaching protocols that the QA pilot product mostly focuses on. It was originally developed as an automated phantom image analysis platform and is designed to be deployable and easily scalable on a SaaS platform, and that's software as a service or web-based, right? So it's a web page. It has a number of statistical controls, and it's really about this breaking the sort of data silos down in between individual clinics and physics groups that are within a healthcare organization such as yourself. So it's designed to help start to address some of those many workflow bottlenecks and challenges that you have. We integrated this product with SI back in 2020, and QA Pilot did become our machine QA protocol management tool. It was at that time that it was integrated with our image analysis product called PIPS Pro. So if we've got any PIPS Pro customers on the line, you'll start to see those integrations here in just a few moments. Currently, we've got about 270 users deployed across the US. We don't have any international customers yet. We are absolutely willing and waiting for our first international customers. It does come with a few additional challenges, depending on your local state, county, and government regulations. Some of that data may need to reside in your country. So if you're in a country other than the United States, let's have a conversation about where we can start to host some of that data that doesn't leave your borders. So right now, I think what we are really talking about is some of the basic challenges within the radiation oncology QA space, and some of the major pain points that we know and we are aware of that we are addressing with products like the QA Pilot is those interrupted workflows, siloed data, multi-vendor platforms, right? This is kind of a very common challenge across all, not only just radiation oncology, but any sort of care delivery system has these multiple disparate data inconsistencies, so to speak. I think one of the bigger challenges is that QA and RadOnc specifically have a habit of just tracking these things in spreadsheets, where it's human error is a really prevalent part of your daily QA device management. Also, with any new product or daily or monthly annual machine QA product that you would bring in house. All those setups and lots of hands touching those things, right? So QA and RadOnc is specifically subject to these data inconsistencies. Also, this non-optimized QA tool management, we fully recognize that you might not be a full SI shop, you might be a Sun Nuclear, you might PTW IBA, some of those bigger QA device manufacturers. So we fully understand that bringing in products when you're trying to get the best value and maybe getting specific sets of features from one company to another is a part of your daily workflow. And how you manage that today currently could be within logbooks and spreadsheets and binders, and you've got physicists and you've got therapists, and everybody has this really super inconsistent access to all the data that's needed to be recorded. So we understand those challenges as well, and of course economic drivers. Especially in the U.S., this is very much an issue where we're buying and acquiring new health systems and new clinics all the time. And each time you acquire a new system, you have a different set of physicists or therapists that have a different set of protocols using different equipment and all of those things. And so the agnostic component to a product like QA Pilot is one of its biggest benefits. We do not lock down based on the types of machine QA devices that you have. We are completely agnostic, and we recognize that that's a big need in our industry. So the solution for all of these is to really focus in three key value prop areas, right? So we want to first and foremost promote a standardization across your organization. Vendor neutrality, of course, this is a big one. So, in some of the some of the other vendors require you're using their machine QA products to use their machine QA administration system. And so that's not the case with us. And we know that we want to meet you where you are, while others may be focusing on sort of locking you down into a more specific consolidated workflow, we understand that that's not a very practical implementation of how you may administer to your sites, right? So the monthly data is not allowing export if you don't have certain maintenance plans, and so those sorts of things. And so we would take the position that we will never do that, right? We will never isolate your workflow based on the type of machine QA products that you have. So although we would love you to have SI products, we do not prevent or encourage any sort of restriction of data exchange, right? So QA Pilot really is at the heart at a change management system. And it's really the power inherent in what we're doing is the customization and the scalability for consistency, right? So total cost of ownership is drastically reduced when we have this standalone SaaS, web deployment model where we don't require any additional, machines or computers or things to be used as you need to deploy from clinic to clinic or even within your own health system. So, we easily scale with new clinics, new staff turnover, training, and those sorts of things. And we recognize that being customizable really is the strength of the product that we'll talk about today. So a couple of things. So why QA Pilot? Well, QA Pilot really is a centralized data repository and key access points to your daily, monthly, and annual TG-based protocols, right? So it's completely trending analysis. It's completely customizable. It's a site-to-site workflow tool. It's a web-based product. It has integrated API capabilities. So if you've got things like LINAC MPC checks, if you're a varying customer and you need to get those things and centralize all of that data and see those trends, we have that ability to do as well. The power of the API that we have built in, makes connecting to the different data sources, easy and quickly scalable, right? So QA Pilot is designed to really meet you where you are. And that's really focus of how we would like to tailor this solution to you, right? So while it's really important to say what QA Pilot is and what we're addressing in these 5 major categories, right? And these technical challenges and these regulatory challenges and the accreditation challenges, professional challenges, organizational challenges, I'll touch on those here just briefly in just a moment. What is QA Pilot not? And I think it's really important that everybody goes into a product like QA Pilot with eyes wide open. So QA Pilot is not really this drop in, set it and forget it system. That would be really kind of disingenuous to one, the complexity of workflows that you have within your own organization, but also it kind of hides the true power of QA Pilot, which is our ability to customize and tailor these workflows to you, your standard process, your standardization, with many different stakeholders within your clinic, remote clinics or larger health systems as a whole, right? So everyone from physicists to therapists to administrators all the way down can have a part to play here when we need to sign things off or we need to do some sort of audit or get ACR accreditation, for example. We have this nice repository and trail that we can keep tabs on all of these things. So it's really important to think, rather than see these sort of features that are right in front of you in terms of QA Pilot, rather think what's not here. What won't you see in the actual software itself? Because those customization opportunities and the tailored hands-on approach we take with you is really the power of what we can do, not only to be a consultant, but also help you think through your workflows and how we can be more efficient. And Standard Imaging specializes in our physics-based approach, and we can certainly help you on those efforts, right? So as we kind of just briefly talked about the 5 key areas that QA Pilot is addressing, our technical challenges, and again, this is we'll go through these pretty quickly. We can spend more time on some of these as we go, but really first, we'd like to start to address our technical challenges. And so QA Pilot really does integrate all of these previously held isolated databases. And whether you got spreadsheets or manual checklist or standalone checklist, or you've got protocols you haven't been able to implement across all your sites yet, standalone image analysis and those sorts of things, anything in your machine QA analysis system, we know that we have multiple points of entry when it comes to managing your machine QA data. So all of that gets collected and pulled either through an API or direct connection if it's a standard imaging product, or if it's a different product, a Sun Nuclear or IBA product as well. We can pull all of that information and centralize it. And really, the three key points here is we want to help you visualize and trend. We want to promote communication between not only you, but also your staff and also your administration team. And of course, provide value with reducing the time you're going to need to actually track all of this information in a spreadsheet or a binder or a checklist or whatever it is you're doing today. Organizationally, we really like to think outside in here. So everything from outside, from the large community hospitals down to smaller clinics, down to the rad-onc level, down to the physics level. We know that medical physics, from a therapy standpoint, is kind of the hub and spoke of assuring that we've got good dose, that we're delivering good treatments to our patients, excuse me. And so we know that physicists are often required to go across a large geographic area in some instances, and being able to take those protocols with you and standardize across the rest of your clinics is really important, right? So there's a few things that we want to make sure that we address by doing that, and that we customize those protocols and tolerances as you need them when you need them. And we always advise that we start a bit small on QA pilot, like maybe a couple daily devices and one clinic, and then build those protocols and then start to train and get the rest of your staff up on how to manage those things. So we know that also the professional challenges is that physicists are incredible short supply, right? So we know also that lowering your cost and your cost of entry is really, really important as budgets become, as budgets shrink. Also, the scalability of what we're able to do. We can quickly, get you and your site or your clinic remote sites or other physicists or other protocols up very quickly because we all share a central database. And those access points are role or user based. So you can have a physics profile. You can just see some of the tests that you need to run just at your site. If you need to go and look and see what everyone else is doing, you can have access to that. So we can tailor those based on your roles as well. And at a quality, regulatory, and legal, your mileage will vary a little bit here, but we know that if you are focused on the quadruple aim, you're focused in making sure that your chart checks have a process, that's all based backed in CMS and all of those things, that we're also applying that same rigor to the way that you want to create and promote and execute all of your TG141, or excuse me, TG142, TG57, TG307, those things, that you're applying that same rigor across the board. So we know that human error and data disparity is a real issue right now in the industry, and we can help with those by creating a really good trail of data and opportunity so that we can view them and always refer back to them when we need to. Also, accreditation challenges. So we consider the QA pilot product, the ability to demonstrate compliance. So if you need to ever go through a compliance, with your own internal teams or any external teams, the data that we keep for you and manage for you here in our platform helps support your ability to accreditate. And the single biggest killer of an accreditation process is failure to demonstrate. And so we want to make sure that you're able to demonstrate that you're doing everything that by AAPM standards or whatever standards you happen to be following at your clinic or IAEA standards. So we just want to set up our platform and our system tailored to your needs and how you need to be able to prove that you're actually collecting the data and properly applying that to an accreditation process. So that's kind of the value prop of what we're doing. We're talking a lot about the administration and a lot about how we're trying to bring people together and how we're trying to standardize across your clinics. And we're going to have actually a look here at the software here in just a moment. But again, I just want to refresh everyone and say, if you've got any questions, please throw them in the chat and we will get to them at the end. Right. And just as I move over quickly, just a quick technology check. Can everybody see?
Yep.
Great, thank you. Okay, so this is the base entry point for the QA pilot platform. So as you'll see, this is a web-based product, and we have a number of things that will show up for you as an user on the screen. And so there's a couple things to take into account here. One is you'll see a basic layout here is we've got schedules. We've got a number of menu items here on the left. We've got all of the institutions in this demo environment we currently have set up. And then we've got all your taskings separated on the top. And so those are the basic 3 point and click menu options. And it's fairly stripped down in this environment. It could be more complex for you, but in this instance, this is kind of what your view will be. So the role that I will play today will be as a central administrator, say chair of physics, is the role I will play today, which gives me more opportunity to see across the organization and in different clinics that belong to my hospital. So depending on your role and depending on how you log in and what access you're given, your view may be different. Maybe you're just a local physicist at the Cedar Cancer Center. This would be all you would see. As the chair of physics or the chair of my department, I need to be able to make sure that all of my clinics are executing the right way. I may be able to see all of these separate clinics. Also, if I need to go and sign off on multiple clinics, I can do that too on any sort of reports. So that's kind of our first view. And what we're really going to be looking at is the schedules today. I'm just going to show you a brief look at a TG142 schedule. We're going to look very briefly at the report section, and then we're going to look at the manage section because we've got a whole host of templates already created for you to kind of get up, stand up, and go. So as the physicist and the chair of physicist and the role that I'm playing today, I'm going to click into my Cedar Cancer Center. So if I wanted to expand all, I could do that right from the top. And I could see each individual clinic. I could collapse them all again and just simplify the view. So I'm going to go into the Cedar Cancer Clinic today, and I'm going to talk about a TG142 QA Beam Checker Plus. So in this example, it's my clinic at my central therapy office, and I need to go run some daily checks. In addition to that, we can separate this view not only at the therapy center location, but also across the board on everything that is due today, anything that's been unsigned. So maybe we've run that test and we need a physics sign off or some version of it in between. We can separate those views that way. We can dive in separately, or we can just look at everything that's due, undue, or all right at the top of the screen. So go ahead and log in, and I'm going to click right into this. So this TG142 is a template, and I didn't, and just for full disclosure, I didn't do anything to this template. So this template came to me this way. I was able to click on and bring it forward, and it's going to address a number of primary areas. Again, this is a starting point. It's not the actual de facto TG142 that you may or may not want to use. So we have a dosimetry section. We've got a safety section, planar KV, daily wedge, cone beam, mechanical daily. The report date here would be the day that you're going to execute this test, and our QA device day filter was the information that maybe I ran this morning. This afternoon, I'm going to come in and I'm going to pull my results, collectivize them, sign off on them, and then be ready for the next day. So the first thing that we would do, and in this instant, I've already pulled some results for us. So you would come in, these would all be blank, but if you were to pull the get results section, you would automatically bring in any set of information that you would be pulling from your daily device. So in this instance, we got pressure, we got comp, we've got SSD dose rate, MU, and of course, field size. Based on that, I'll click down here. So if for whatever reason you see down here in the right-hand corner, we are running an equipment hub in the background. And so in this instance, it's not connected, but in your clinic, it would be connected, and you would see a nice little green sign saying, hey, thank you very much. I've connected to your device. The equipment hub is designed to run all of the equipment in your clinic, or what's been assigned to, in this case, the Cedar Cancer Center or whatever cancer center or therapy center that you have. You would be able to pull in all this information and start to either verify, check, or ensure that it was meeting your tolerances. And then I'll kind of talk a little bit about the tolerances that get populated in here. But this is a part of the setup process. And so if you'll think back to what we were talking about is getting us up and running does take some time, right? We need to set proper tolerances for your daily devices. We need to set proper whatever your current tolerances are for your product, for your daily devices, excuse me, and then set them in when we actually start to add pieces of equipment to your equipment hub. And based on what you're actually pulling, in this instance, this is my QA Beam Checker Plus. this is the serial number. It will pull the information just from that one. But if it was a different one, we could set up another template that would be for whatever device. And if we're changing devices, we're moving from site to site, you can select that device. A couple things to consider here is we've got a number of daily safety checks that you can run. Some of this is manual in this case because I don't have an API set up, but if you did, it would auto import and it would automatically pick off whatever information we're deciding to pass. So that again is up to sort of the customization power of how we would set up your clinic. A couple of other things here as a part of the TG142 template, we've got a number of the planar KV, EPID imaging, pass-fail. We've got dynamic wedges, cone beam CTMV, mechanical, daily mechanical, basically whatever your daily set of information needs to be by the day, all of that would be addressed. Here in your template. And so in this case, if we were to actually see something that failed, and I do believe I have one of these set up. So this is an example of one where we would have had a failure in our constancy. Now that variation is purposely big and ugly, just so I can show you the color-coded way that we can start to address what's passing, what needs work, and what's failing, and what's got left to be finished. So our flatness, radial, transit symmetry, and constancy, our flatness and symmetry, of course, is within our tolerance ranges. Our constancy is way out. That number is so large, it's almost comically big. But we would want to begin to start that investigation with our team. And a couple of things that we can also do is we can dive a little deeper into this and actually craft and create a trend line so we can begin to visualize what this non-tolerance looks like at a trend level. And we've got a number of those different trend and deeper dive point and clicks available for you in your TG142 process. A number of these safety checks, you remember we were talking about how when we pass the information, anything that's coming to us in the data fields will be automatically populated. And so the data fields are populated by our implementation team. So what we'll do is we'll actually go in, look at the data that you want to pass to QA Pilot. We'll set up an import API, and then we'll make sure we pass all those fields of data to the QA Pilot so you can visualize them instantly. Anything that we wouldn't have an API, there is an opportunity to manually pass or fail things. So it may take a few rounds of doing this when we set you up with a new device, where we'll have to kind of go back and tweak the API and data exchange. But by and large, if it's not coming over automatically, you will have the opportunity to just manually input those things as well. All right. We do have a warning here. So orange means warning. And in this case, this was close to a tolerance, but not failing, but also not within a percentile of pass either. So we would set a warning parameter or a warning threshold for whatever data we're passing on the KV, the KV data that we're passing for your device. So again, we can either say, you know what, this warning maybe was set. You think it's not a warning, but maybe a threshold was set that was low, and so you can say, "Oh, actually, I just choose to override that and say it's okay." So, again, some of the other things here, we got a collimator size indicator that did fail, and we want to definitely check that right away. So the next process would be, once you finalize your report or finish your report, your review of the daily device, we can finalize those things, set our next due date, and then finalize the QA. Once we finalize that, of course, that comes to our report section. And so our report section is going to allow us to see everything that we captured for the day and be able to either manually store that here in our report section. And we've also got a number of things to do from here. So we can either sign off on this if a user is required to sign off, or a physics manager is needed to sign off. And then whoever our user is in this instance, we can sign an instant email or a notification within your organization that say, hey, I need you to sign this off. So typically when you sign off, and you come in for the day as your physics manager, up in your schedules, it would start to show up in the unsigned section. So we actually have that here. It's in this, and we call it the QA bean check or fail. You would come in here, sign, review this information, and then gives you the opportunity to sign that off. Mileage may vary on how you want to track that. So TG 142 is fairly straightforward in that way, and it's based all on the template. So let's go and look at the templates again in the manage section. So if you'll look on the left-hand side of this screen, these are all of the different templates that we have available to use to start. And most of the time, we can use about 80% of the template, and then we would have to do some tweaking based on whatever protocols you want to follow, any additional protocols that you need to add. So here are our custom templates. And so we have a couple that we've created just today or as a part of it, but we also have a number of preset templates. And the preset templates that we have set are for your TG51s, TG142s, your monthlies, your annual, or excuse me, monthly, your dailies. And then if you wanted to view this test, you can see all of the available options that you would have available to you, and you can turn things on and off from here. So you can see there's a lot here that you may choose to want to use. You don't have to use all of it. You can use some of it. You can change the parameters on a number of things. But if you wanted to use this, you could copy this into your schedule. Create a copy here. And then we can begin the process of tailoring. Let's just use this as very key. We can now begin the process of tailoring this template to all of the available options. And it's really just as quick as finding, you want the source, because it's a breaky test. It would automatically populate on the side. And then we can edit these descriptions. You can call this what you want. We can begin a number of these options to kind of quickly point and click all of the different things you want. I want to do all the time, of course, if it's HDR, or excuse me, HDR. And then I want a source activity test and a couple safety tests or a radiation test. Yeah, we'll just go with that. And then we can save. And that template now becomes a part of our normal custom templates. And then from there, we can modify those or we can assign them to a particular clinic. We can assign them to wherever they need to go once we've created our basic templates. So your custom templates, you may choose to develop 10 or 12 for your particular site and then start to move them across your sites. And again, it's the power of being able to standardize your workflows, right? So this is really where we're trying to help and solve some of these pain points. A couple of other components here, as I love the documents section, and I know we're running a little close on time again, and so there's so much in here, so much in the build, and we would love to do another demo where we can tailor this a bit to what you need. But we've got a number of things here, and I think the documents area is actually one of my favorite parts because if you've got spreadsheets and you've got protocols and you've got documents stored in a Word document somewhere, you can collectivize all of that and make it a part of your document repository located in QA Pilot. It can become the standard at which you say, I'm setting up a new clinic. I've got these devices. This is the process that we use. These are the tests we'll use. This is the Medlinic and machines that we'll use. You can do all of that from your centralized document repository. And so if you've got staff turnover or you've got a crop of interns for the summer, you can just set them into your document repository and just say, hey, go read all of our stuff and get familiar with our processes and procedures. So anything that you have that you need, you can get at. And it's kind of a great place to just centralize all of that information. A couple of other things as well is in our machine log, we've got a number of, when we are assigning new equipment, On our measurement devices, for example, we've got a number of the major vendors. So when we're assigning a specific set of equipment to a specific test to a specific site, we've got a number of equipment templates already built in for our different products. So you can select this piece of equipment was assigned to the Maple Hospital. Here's our serial number. So you can track all of your device information as well. And some of the other things you can do here is in your machine logs section. If you need to report a problem, for example, let's say your jaw alignment failed, and you're passing that information from your Linac MPC warmup. You could import that to QA Pilot. You could start a service request right here. We would just populate a few pieces of information, and you can put in your description. You can drag and drop files, whatever you need to do, add attachments, and you can send that right off to your variant service provider at that point. So it will also track the downtime. So as soon as you say, yes, I've got a machine down, when did it start? And once you send off your service information to your service provider, it'll actually start to track how long that machine has been down. So that's just good information for us to trend over time if you're running service, where you have one person that kind of calls and doesn't really track. Well, it's been down for 9 hours, I think, or it's I got to have them come out and do a recalibration on my jaws. It's going to be 3 days, right? So we'll track anything that's collecting information in your machine QA, whether that be your Linac, your daily device, your monthly, 2G51 stuff, all the way down. We'll track any information that you want to hand us. Couple items, again, I just want to touch, there's some review items. The review section is all tasks that, again, would be assigned to me if I was the physics chair. Tasks created by me and assigned to others, so I can keep track administratively what I've been assigning to others. Any equipment that I currently have under my purview or what's been assigned for me to manage. Machine logs, currently we've got some machine maintenance to be scheduled by a certain time. It's just, like I said, it's just a really great spot for us to just be able to keep track of everything and administer to all the different crazy devices. And as everybody's running around, we can just track those things there. That being said, I know I went through this kind of quickly, but again, really think about this as a change management process, because as you start to create your customized protocols, your customized fields, you can begin to implement these tests quickly, and you can also, in this example, we've got a number of tests here. But if you are creating custom templates, once you get it in, once we get it solved, once we get the data connected, we're good to go. Like, we can just copy and paste those things and apply them very quickly as needed. It will take us some time, though, to work with you and set up your customizations based on your needs. And that is really the power of what we do and what this product is capable of. So obviously, there's so much more we could go into, but I know we're kind of coming up on time. So. With that, one other thing I wanted to touch on, if you look up in the top left-hand corner, you'll see the QA Pilot with PIPS Pro and Autopilot. And a lot of the questions we get is, well, what is that? So QA Pilot, so the Autopilot component that you'll see right there is an additional add-on optional feature for all of our optional feature for QA Pilot, where the customer has a current subscription, and where the customer has a current subscription with our PIPS Pro product, right? So Autopilot is typically not sold as a standalone product, but it is an image-based QA selection of the management software, and so it's basically all the TG142 tests, all the CT image tests, including the CT SimCheck QA, and other imaging that's done all through our Autopilot. And Autopilot is it sits on the cloud, right? And so Autopilot is will include the QA tests for images and machine QA tests, but Autopilot and the PIPS Pro component are different algorithms, and so results will not always be the same, right? So we consider our PIPS Pro product to kind of be the de facto standard of our image analysis. It's a much deeper dive. It's much better image quality than you'll probably get at the QA pilot level. And so those two products work really well together, not only if you're focusing on the precision of the image analysis, you really need to scroll through the image sets. That is really the power of PIPS Pro. And it includes some, Autopilot includes some tests that PIPS Pro may not, right? So they do work together that way, including asymmetric fields, FC2 phantoms, MLC tests. That can all be done in our QA pilot product, again, because it's so customizable. It's has the APIs built in and ready to get that information. PIPS Pro doesn't have all of those pieces built in. So those two working together make a ton of sense. PIPS Pro has loss leaf speed test. QA pilot does not, and then the Electa Hancock test. So PIPS Pro has an MLC log and trajectory file analysis feature. So it's a more complete analysis in our PIPS Pro product. And the next webinar we will go through the PIPS Pro to QA integration, and we'll walk through that whole thing. So today is really just about the TG142, TG51 level of administration, but the integration of our PIPS Pro and our image analysis product is a really cool and robust workflow that we'll dive deeper into next time. So, so that's what the Autopilot is doing with our PIPS Pro product, and the QA pilot is, all of the basic administration components of your TG142 and TG51 customized to your site. So that being said, I will do my best to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Thanks for all that information, Chris. I'm not seeing any questions come through,
Sure.
But if you guys do have questions, just go up to that Q&A tab at the top of your screen and just type them in there, and then we can read them off and Chris can answer them for us. So thank you.
Yeah. Also, don't feel the need to have to, there's a lot of information we kind of went over, and that's, the part about QA pilot is, we really choose to look at it and take it from a workflow standpoint. So one of the first things we would do would be like, all right, tell us what Linux you have, tell us what daily devices you have, tell us what monthly devices you have, and start to immediately point you and, okay, we've got templates that will address this. What are you missing out of your current protocol? Okay, we can get that done for you. We can add those components. So even if your question isn't necessarily administration based, but it's more like, well, how do I improve my workflow and how do I improve getting better standardization? Those are the conversations we would probably have first, almost consultative in nature. And then as the last byproduct, we manipulate and modify QA pilot to address your pain points. So if you don't see anything necessarily here today, just know that we have a team on the back end that you can turn around requests actually very quickly, like under 60 days, which is about the time it takes to honestly implement a TG142 or TG51 protocol within your clinic and train everybody and get everybody to read the documents and sign off and who's going to be responsible, who champions, and that whole thing, right? So again, the change management piece kind of is lockstep with our consultative approach to making sure that you have good daily and monthly analysis and central repository for all of your data. So yeah, be happy to talk to any with that, and really give us the opportunity to have a chat with you, even if you don't end up wanting to buy anything. That's great. We still want to talk with you and learn more about you and your clinics and where we might be able to make some inroads on some of your pain points and make it a bit easier for you.
Thanks, Chris. There's still none that have come through.
Okay.
So
no problem. All right. Well, you will probably expect to have someone reach out to you just to make sure you got any questions, and that may be a great time to discuss and have a deeper discussion, so we can actually get a nicely tailored demo for you with your products and your Linux and all of the protocols that you're currently using.